I now call this meeting of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association Student Senate meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
to begin our Student Senate meeting taking place on Thursday, April 27th, 2023, with a land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Kansas State University, as the first land-grant institution, stands on the ancestral lands of the Kaw people. Our state of Kansas is home to 4 federally recognized Native nations: the Iowa, Kickapoo, Prairie Band Potawatomi, and Sac and Fox. We must remember that the land serving as the foundation for this institution was and still is stolen land acquired by white settlers. We pledge our commitment to creating decolonized spaces at the university while advocating for the support and future success of Indigenous faculty, staff, and students at K-State. With that, Speaker Pro Tempore Kappelman will take it away with our first roll call.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Abadir.
Here.
Atchison. Ayers. Bellamy.
Here.
Biggs.
Yeah.
Blood. Broughton.
Here.
Bruckner.
Here.
Cup.
Here.
Koch.
Here.
Compton.
Here.
Cuesta.
Here.
Dennis.
Here.
Drotz.
Here.
Dunce.
Here.
Fogel. Glasscock.
Here.
Griffith.
Here.
Hartzell.
Here.
Heatherman. Hoffmans. Jacobson. Kamen.
Here.
Kidd.
Here.
Kermer.
Here.
Nisley. Kinsey.
Here.
Long.
Here.
Lynn.
Here.
Melcher. Moore. O'Malley.
Here. Here by proxy.
Oury.
Here.
Pelton.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Pondillo.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Rios. Rivard. Rodriguez Melendez.
Here.
Rogers.
Here.
Syat Carly.
Here.
Syat Nick. Salmon.
Here.
Spindler.
Here.
Strunk.
Here.
Sushanik.
Here.
Williams. West. Wingert.
Here.
And Wolf.
Here.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brady. We'll now move into our first open period. For first open period this evening, we have Aaron Good and the Office of General Counsel. So make sure it's turned on, and I have a second microphone. Aaron. Also, for those of you who are new or might be visiting Senate, typically when we have people come and speak to us for decorum purposes, we close our laptops. Thank you.
Oh, in our slides.
Good evening, how are you? I'm Sherry Crittenden, and I serve as General Counsel for K-State. So if you don't know me, that's a good thing. It could be a good thing. But we're here, Erin and I, she serves as Associate General Counsel. There are 2 topics we want to talk to you about today, and since we only have 10 minutes, unless you extend our time, I just wanted to say hey, and 2, to let you know what we do. And so our office is comprised of 5 attorneys and 2 staff. We're in Anderson Hall, so the president's to one side, and the door with the padlock is the General Counsel's office on the left side. And so we represent the university in proactive ways and preventative ways. And so students, faculty, and staff sometimes can be our clients. So there could be opportunities where you could be our clients. Mostly it's the administration, and we do a lot of regulatory work, contract work, Title IX, we're going to talk about today. Things that involve the wonderful constituents that we have here tonight, students, and you're always on your best behavior. And so we have an open door policy. First of all, congratulations on your election. And if you think you have issues that you want to talk to us about, please feel free. Our information should be in the material, but if not, you can always come and knock on our door or shoot us an email. And we have a website, which is attogc@ksu.edu. We never email ourselves. So with that, I'm going to introduce Erin and ask her to talk to you about 2 areas that you might find of interest, Title IX, and that's on the sexual discrimination piece, and then on our issue about student organizations.
Yeah, well, good evening and Congratulations. Kate introduced this as Aaron Good in the Office of General Counsel, but I want to be clear, it's Sherry. And and the Office of General Counsel. Yes, we're a great team, and really delighted to be here this evening and just say congratulations and welcome and best wishes as you all kick off your tenures and look forward to the next academic year. Next slide, please. So just an overview of kind of our office. I think these materials are available to you, so I won't read everything. But as Sherry said, we represent the university through the administrators who make decisions on behalf of it. And as student leaders, sometimes that might be all of you. So we wanted to make sure you know who we are and come visit you in your space. Next slide, please. A little bit about our core values. We really try to be innovative and collaborative and accessible to our clients, respectful. We try to do excellent work on behalf of the university. Next slide.
And it spells I care.
Yes, and it spells I care. Sherry, you want to talk a little bit about the structure?
Yeah, I mentioned the attorneys that we have. We actually have one attorney who works full-time. We call him our Tallahassee guy, Robert Large. He works full-time from Florida. He comes up 3 or 4 times a year. And Blake Bellings is a deputy. And we have and then Aaron, and we have a married couple who have the same first and last name. Enjoy that. So we say E good and A good. And then we have our wonderful support staff. So go ahead. And this is go to the next page. That's okay. Here's the phone number, and there's our email address.
And there are some great FAQs on our website too. So to the extent you might wonder something, go to your website, and maybe we've already answered it there for all of you. So as Sherry mentioned, I'm going to talk a little bit about Title IX and a little bit about student organizations. My kind of swim lanes within the Office of General Counsel are I serve as the primary legal advisor to our Office of Institutional Equity on the anti-discrimination, anti-harassment work that they do, though all of the lawyers touch on that and work in that space. And I also have, I think, the best assignment in OGC that I get to work with all of our student affairs administrators and all of the great things that they do to make dreams come true for all of you students at K-State, right? So I put up here the language of Title IX. These are kind of the basic words that were enacted about 50 years ago to give this benefit, to proclaim there can't be discrimination in the educational setting. And I think it's really important to talk about why Title IX. When I go out and speak on these issues, one of the common questions I get is, why are universities in the business at all of investigating sexual harassment? Isn't that, if a sexual assault occurs, isn't that a police issue? Shouldn't that really just be a law enforcement crime? And the answer is yes, it can be, certainly, and those reporting opportunities are available for those who wish to go through the process. But the Department of Education says that we have to investigate, that we have to have certain protocols in place in order to maintain our federal funding. I think the other kind of moral issue is what Title IX does is it recognizes that when sexual harassment or sexual discrimination occurs at a college, that can interfere with someone's ability to complete their education. That is a foundational shift that's happened to them. So institutions have an obligation to say, how can we make that right? How can we make sure that you can move forward and still complete your education? So kind of where we're at right now with Title IX, starting in about 2020, is the Trump administration issued new regulations in 2020 that put a bunch of mandates on universities and in the K through 12 setting too, of what we have to do when there's a claim of sexual harassment. There was a new definition that put the bar pretty high for what kind of rises to the level of Title IX sexual harassment. It has to either be a crime that would fall under the Violence Against Women's Act, which is things like rape, stalking, assault, things of that nature. There's a live hearing requirement, so it basically sets up kind of this mini trial that institutions have to have. People can bring attorneys to do cross-examination of witnesses for them. Again, it feels a lot like a trial. And then there's this kind of very formal signed complaint. If someone just comes and makes an oral complaint, if they're not willing to actually sign it, the university can't move forward with it. So it was very cumbersome. It's been very cumbersome, but that's sort of the space institutions have been living with. So next month, and maybe as soon as tomorrow, if the rumors out there are true, we're going to get new regulations. The Biden administration, that was one of the things that President Biden ran on, was kind of trying to push the pendulum to be a little less cumbersome. What's that going to look like? And these are kind of the tea leaves that our office has been reading. They're going to expand the scope of sexual harassment. There's a heavy emphasis on transgender individuals. There's a heavy emphasis on people carrying pregnancies and protections for them. They're kind of lowering the bar a little bit for what meets the legal definition of sexual harassment is what we're expecting. They're expanding reporting obligations for institutions. That's going to be a heavy training lift. Right now, kind of only certain level administrators have reporting obligations, and that's expected to be much more wide. So something the institution will be grappling with is how do we effectively manage that? And then a more flexible grievance process. So there still has to be due process, right? If someone's accused of something, they get to defend themselves and say, that's not the way it happened, and here's the 50 witnesses that say I didn't punch Sherry in front of a student witness, in front of student senate, right? That's due process. We still all have that right. That's foundational for us. But it's going to be hopefully a little more flexible and a little more compassionate. So, Sherry, anything you want to add on Title IX?
One thing I want to add is that, can you hear me okay? Is that I think in the Obama administration, there was an argument that it went too far in one direction, and then the subsequent administration went too far in the other direction. So it's the Goldilocks. We're going to try to get it just right. But the protection for respondents is there as much as it is for those claimants. So we want to make sure, and that there's supportive services, because no matter how it turns out, unfortunately, we've only had one hearing under the current regulation. There's trauma, and there's going to be trauma to both parties. And so we want to make sure as an institution that we care about all of our students, and we want to make sure that we create an environment where, again, that you can educate, learn, and feel welcomed to be able to complete your education.
Excellent. How are we doing on time? Do we have to? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, just interrupt me when we need to be cut off, or if you want to give us more time. We're just going to touch a little bit on student orgs, and then I'll let you get on with your evenings. And I know that there was a group that came and presented on kind of the direction student orgs is going, right? And there's been an awesome team of administrators. I'm looking at Dr. Jackson in the back as one of them, who's been working to make this shift come to life. I think Sherry and I just want to share kind of what's this look like from the lawyer's lens. So to recap where we are, we're going to have sponsored organizations and affiliate organizations. Sponsored organizations are kind of those academic clubs, so to speak. Affiliated are what we would sort of think of now as the independent student organizations, but they're all going to be under the auspices of the university, meaning accountability, student conduct. If you're out there doing bad things at your student organization meeting, you're under the conduct code now. You're also under the Title IX jurisdiction. And that's a call that the university has heard from students. And I know Dr. Lane felt very passionately about answering that call.
Speaker's time has expired.
Chair Long.
I move to extend the speaker's time by 10 minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to extend the speaker's time by 10 minutes.
Thank you. So we're looking at a better events policy, and what does this look like now in this space when the university has more, just more kind of involvement in all of the events? Are there requirements that we want to put in place? If you're going to have alcohol, we want to make sure that's being done in a safe way, all of those kinds of things. And then kind of the big, one of the big, I think, controls that we have from a legal lens is employees are going to be serving as advisors in their employment capacities. So we're working a little bit on what that's going to look like right now. But that's a big shift for our faculty and staff too. Next slide, please. So, so here I quoted from the 2020 regs, and I don't expect this to change, that an education program or activity for purposes of Title IX jurisdiction includes any building owned or controlled by a student organization that's officially recognized by a post-secondary institution. So certainly the FSL community, Clovia houses, kind of all of those will be under the auspices of Title IX. So, so this slide, which I think is the last slide, is what I think our office and Sherry has sort of said is what's our kind of guiding legal philosophy as we've been trying to help the university navigate these issues. One is to kind of set clear boundaries. I think all of you as students sort of deserve to know when you're in the university's, kind of when your conduct might be university problems or when it might not be. So let's draw a clear line and make sure we're really effectively communicating that. Using forms and controls for organization events. So that goes into, all right, you're going to have alcohol at the fraternity social. Let's have some sober monitors. I think a lot of things you guys are already doing, but just making sure that we offer support in that. And then engaging appropriate resources to help really execute these initiatives, right? We're standing up an office for FSL. We've got a new dean for conduct coming into the Office of Student Life. But this is a big lift for the university. So really trying to say, we're making these promises, let's meaningfully keep them.
The only thing I would say is the university chose to expand its territory. We could have kept it small, and the feedback we got is, you have certain groups that get the benefit but don't have the burden of their conduct. And so to take on that is going to be complicated. So we look forward to working with you because you're ambassadors for our student orgs to work collegially and collaboratively. This is not I gotcha. We want you all to be here. We want you all to have a great experience. And so this is our approach. The university, as I met with the president today, has other lenses it looks through besides the legal one. And we appreciate that. There's political, there's business, there's reputational, there's financial, there's all those things. And so we want to take all those into consideration as we structure our response to Title IX as well as the student org. So that's all I've had to say. Anything else?
Just really appreciate you. You guys are the student leaders on these campus, and I think these are kind of two of the most critical issues that you might get questions about and get a chance to weigh in on this year. So I encourage you to use the platform that you've been voted into to do that.
Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Questions?
Are there any questions? Senator Broughton.
Is there going to be like a structured training for all potential advisors, or is that going to be falling on the hands of like the I guess clubs or associations that they're going to be associated with?
Yes, and Sarah Hyman, who I assume all of you see from time to time, is working very hard on that, and kind of what does training look like, making sure that CSI, the Center for Student Involvement, will be offering good resources to both the faculty advisors and also acknowledgement that a lot of clubs have kind of community advisors, religious leaders, fraternity alumni, things of that nature, maybe some limited resources available for those advisors too to train on. Yeah, Dr. Jackson.
So just to add to that, expectations from groups to the advisors is still going to be held within the group, right? Advisors are not going to be doing the same thing across all the groups, but the training about the resources for the support for our students will be a consistent advisor training. So I think as you work with your student groups, know that you still have the ability to work with your advisor about what you expect of them.
Senator Pandillo.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming to present. Why do you think this has not been expanded in the past? Like, why now? Like, I'm happy that it's happening, but how come these conversations are happening now?
I think the institution, and I can't speak prior to me being here, and I like to look forward, but I think the institution at the time was thinking about the risk profile and the risk tolerance. Also, the regs under the previous administration had carved out jurisdiction boundaries. It's hard to control when you have a private home on private property and they're having private guests that now, because we're the government, right? And so we want to limit government interference into private activities. I'll keep my snarky comment to myself in my head about that. But that's what the Constitution says. And so I think that was the approach. But after we heard from you all, we heard that the impact that it had, then we pivoted. The only other thing I will say is we may not get it right this time either, right? So we need to work together, and we're going to assess the impact, assess the effectiveness, and there may be some ebbs and flows. And based on the feedback we continue to get, we may shift some more. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Chief of Staff Brown.
Thank you. I was just wondering what incentives are offered to encourage staff to take on these advisor roles in their organizations?
Well, I think one thing that we've heard from staff is that they've really wanted to do this and over the past few years, but sort of felt like they didn't have the university's protection, because if you're advising an independent student organization, the way the university's looked at that up until now is that's the same as going to volunteer at your place of worship on Sunday, right? awesome that you do that, but that's not the university's business. And if you get sued because things go wrong, you're not going to have what's called indemnification, which is kind of coverage from the university in the case of a lawsuit. They will be offered that now. And so what we've heard is there's a lot of faculty and staff that want to do this just because they're awesome people who want to connect with you all as students and help you grow, but have felt kind of squeamish about doing it without that coverage. So I think as in the group that I'm presenting with, we're kind of on a little circuit about the student organization shift. We were in front of Faculty Senate and they were all ecstatic about that a couple weeks ago.
Senator Kamen.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I remember correctly from the beginning half of your presentation, we were talking about the expanding the reporting process and all that for educators on campus. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know if I heard that right or wrong, but does that expand into TAs, both graduate and undergraduate? And what would that look like?
Your question is, are TAs now mandatory reporters?
Well, you said something about like reporting for Title IX violations, that kind of stuff, and just increasing the training of educators on campus, because not many have it. Will that reach TAs? Like how far will that go, and what would that look like if it did? I'm not really sure what I'm asking, sorry.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. So who would be kind of the main cohort of training on these issues? I think the campus at large, we're giving training, specifically advisors may want it to be, TAs, GAs, faculty, leaders such as yourself, because we're all responsible for the environment that we create at the university. So are they specifically, I don't know if that has been outlined who they are, but I could see them being, needing some training on what the regs are.
Thank you very much.
I think we kind of won't know for certain until we get the regs, right? Like, yeah, and last time they were 2,000 pages, so so we'll need a second to read too.
Time for questions has expired.
Chair Cuesta.
I move to extend the speaker's time by 7 minutes.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to extend the time for questioning by 7 minutes. Senator Kidd?
Yeah. So again, thank you for joining us tonight. It's great to have you both here. Kind of bouncing off of his question. Can you explain a little bit more about those that work at the university that are classified as CSAs, campus security something? Can you share a little bit more about that? Because I think that might feed into what his question is about with mandatory reporting and everything.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Kidd. So I think that's a great question. So just to kind of take a step back, under the Cleary report, the campus is required to designate certain employees and kind of people who hold a certain level of authority as what are called CSAs, which means if something happens, you've got to report, like, or else. So that's embedded in, and those folks are already mandatory reporters, and certainly that's going to be true. I do expect that to expand if the tea leaves are come to be what I've read them to be. I think that we're going to have more of those, and I know those are conversations already happening with our administrator that kind of oversees our Cleary Act compliance of what's that going to look like, and making sure we have that updated and trained.
So I think now the current regs is very narrow on who the reporters are and how and what's actually a report and then who has to file it and what does it look like. So it's more prescriptive, which some people think could chill complainants in submitting a report because it was so narrow. I think it's going to be broadened now.
Senator Saltman.
Yeah. So if the new regulations come out and they do protect trans folks within that thing, how would that interface with the new bill that just passed that basically bans the government from recognizing the existence of trans folks? I'm just curious how those two would.
So federal law normally trumps state law.
Okay.
However, there are exceptions.
Yes.
Because states have rights, right? So they do. And so I would think there's going to be lawsuits. The same, I don't know if you recall, it was EO Executive Order 14042, where Biden said if you're a federal contractor, everyone has to be vaccinated, right? But we had a state law that says you could not enforce vaccinations. Well, when the federal government gives you nearly $1 billion in federal awards, and the state gives you, $100, who are you going to choose? And so you have to make some decisions on that. So we will follow the law. I believe it depends on how it's written. The federal law would prevail, and then the states would duke it out.
Chair Suchanik.
If and when these new regulations come out, will you be doing anything to educate the student body of what the new rules are and standards?
Yes, and I think coming back to this body, I think, who else are we looking to train?
Well, so, and I'll brag on our Office of Institutional Equity. They actually already have a website that they've kind of put in place that's ready to launch, and that they're going to be uploading resources to, and kind of here's what we're learning, and I think are working really hard on a transparent communication plan for this. So I don't want to kind of steal Justin Frederick's thunder by outlining that, but certainly it's top of mind for us to be out there educating the K-State community.
Thank you. OIE is the owner of the policy. We're the advisors. I keep trying to tell my team, we don't make the decisions, but we do advise and give counsel on them.
Senator Glasscock.
Yeah, so what is kind of the key takeaway that we should be communicating with student organizations about this Title IX expansion?
That's a great question. I think, what I would encourage all of you to do is plug in your constituents with some of the great preventative resources that we already have. Office of Institutional Equity, our CARE office are out there doing awesome preventative work even right now, and that's, I think, only going to become more important as these regs. So, if you've got 30 seconds to tell someone something, I would say OIE is happy to come to wherever and do a training, and you should have them do that.
And I'd say, as your parents say, behave. Be kind.
Senator Kidd.
Yeah, so I think towards the beginning of the presentation, there was a slide over the structure of the department. I'm just curious, so what's the difference between a deputy general counsel and associate general counsel?
So the way it's structured, I'm the boss. But I can't, because I'm out doing things like this and working with my clients on the cabinet, I need someone to help run the day-to-day office of all the things that come into the office that need responsive. So the deputy helps streamline that. He works directly with the associates on their issues. We all have a portfolio of work. And so sometimes, though, everyone doesn't know everything, and you need support. And so we support each other. We have roundtables once a week, and we discuss legal matters and our approaches. We had our summit yesterday to talk about how we're doing. So the deputy is to manage the day-to-day work and to keep track of the intake of the work that comes into the office.
Thank you.
Senator Kidd.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I have all the questions. In these changes that are happening here at K-State, if you could compare it to any other institutions, any public institutions in the U.S., what are some good ones, or what are some good institutions that have models that we're moving towards that we could maybe do our own research on independently?
What do you think?
Well, I think, we have looked a lot at Iowa State as a kind of model, and we've looked a lot at Oklahoma State. We've looked a little bit at Texas Tech. Dr. Jackson is there anyone I'm missing? I mean, Iowa State, I think, has been a pretty good resource.
Clemson came up quite a bit too early.
Who's that?
Clemson.
Oh, yeah. Clemson. Colorado State, actually, they had some good stuff. So I think kind of looking at what are other institutions doing, but also, I mean, we're K-State, we're unique, right? Like, what is going to meet the needs of our campus? What are we hearing from our particular students, and how can we tailor this to fit what all of you are looking for?
And we didn't look at KU. Just kidding.
Senator Kidd.
Sorry. Okay, last question for me.
Time for questions has expired.
Oh, come on.
Senator Kidd.
Can I move to extend time for questions for 2 minutes?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Go ahead.
Okay, cool, thank you. So my question, so we talked a lot about some major trends that we're seeing in the higher ed space. I'm just curious, what other things have y'all been seeing in the research over legal cases regarding college students? Anything else that maybe will be on the radar the next few years, or anything notable that's not necessarily mainstream?
That's not mainstream?
Correct,
So,
yes.
Research integrity, race-conscious admissions. I'm going to present on the UNC Harvard cases that will probably come down in June. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Academic freedom and First Amendment. We talk about Title IX. Athletics and activism with name, image, and likeness, transfer portal, and the collectives and educational related benefits, and of our student athletes employees. That's top of mind.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, thank you both for your time.
Thank you.
Are there any further first open period speakers? Josie.
Hi, you guys. My name is Jyoti. I'm part of the KSU Kahani Bollywood dance team. And tomorrow we're having our very first showcase event. So we started this organization literally last semester. So this is our very first event. We're inviting KU's Bollywood dance team, which they've had for like 10, 15 years. And so it's basically an unofficial dance-off. So please come. We would love your support. And there will be free Indian food. So yeah, tomorrow 5:30 at Forum Hall.
She said she will not stand for questions. Are there any further first open period speakers tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to approval of the minutes. The minutes were distributed on Tuesday along with the agenda and legislation tracking information. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? Senator Strunk.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Unanimously.
Unanimously.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes unanimously. With no objections, those will be approved. Moving on to announcements. First, are you a senator? Have you gotten headshots taken by our wonderful communications director, Riley Coy? If you answered yes to the first question and no to the second question, please reach out to her to get a time set up to get that taken care of. It's incredibly important to get a headshot that's consistent with the other senators for our official social media post. Comms Director Coy will be setting up cabinet headshots probably in the fall semester. It just makes it way easier on our amazing comms director if you get headshots taken with us so that the backgrounds are consistent for any of our social media posting. Also, if you signed up for a time slot to get your headshot taken and then didn't show up, don't do that. If you have any questions, her email is there in the announcements. Second, proxies. If you're going to be absent from the Student Senate meeting, please fill out the proxy link, even if you aren't sure if your absence will be excused. Third, if you'll be physically absent from Student Senate but would like to attend via Zoom, please fill out the Student Senate Zoom request form. 4, want to give props to someone in Student Senate, fill out the Senate shout-out form that was sent out in the agenda, and then Speaker Pro Tempore Kappelman will read them at the end of our meeting. SGA Member of the Week is Jeremy Kamen. Jeremy has done a stellar job representing students as a senator and will join the judicial branch in the fall. He'll also be representing the university and all students this summer in Germany while researching computational material physics. Thank you for your hard work, Jeremy. The upcoming events calendar, we do not have Student Senate or any committee meetings during Dead Week or finals, so this is the last Student Senate meeting until the fall semester. The quote of the week is, "Don't ever make decisions based on fear. Make decisions based on hope and possibility. Make decisions based on what should happen, not what shouldn't." Michelle Obama. With that, we will move into our commendations for the evening. First up, we have Resolution 232417. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 232417? Chair Suchanek.
I move to consider Resolution 232417.
Second.
Will the author please come forward?
Resolution 23-2417, commendation to Dean Tim DeNoble. Authors Brandon Kermer and Anna Koch. Whereas on Monday, May 2nd, 2022, Dean Tim DeNoble of the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design, College of APD, announced his plans to step down from his deanship. Whereas Dean DeNoble has been a gem to the College of APD and the Kansas State University community for 13 years. Whereas Dean DeNoble led the funding and completion of the $75 million remodel and addition of Seton and Rainier Halls in the College of APD facility, making it a world-class learning environment which has recently received the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design LEED Silver certification. Whereas a facility championed by Dean DeNoble serves as an example of sustainability in action for design students as future stewards of the environment and has been a catalyst for a steady surge of student enrollment and retention rates. Whereas under Dean DeNoble, the College of APD was nationally ranked as 18th for architecture, 6th for interior architecture and industrial design, and 5th for landscape architecture and regional and community planning by Design Intelligence, the only organization that ranks professional accredited design programs. Whereas with the increase in student enrollment, Dean DeNoble also oversaw the addition of the Master's in Industrial Design and the Bachelor's in Real Estate and Community Development in the College of APD. Whereas education has been a passion for Dean DeNoble, who was elevated to the American Institute of Architects AIA College of Fellows in 2019 for his contributions to education. And whereas Dean DeNoble was recognized in 2015 as an icon of education by Ingram's magazine. Be it resolved that the Kansas State University Student Governing Association commends the extraordinary work of Dean DeNoble for the past 13 years and wishes him the best in his future adventures. Section 2. Upon passage by the Student Senate and signature of the student body president, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to Dean of the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design, Tim DeNoble, Associate Dean of the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design, Katie Kingery-Page, Communications and Events Coordinator for the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design, Thomas Jackson, Architecture Department Head for the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design, Matthew Knox, Interior Architecture and Industrial Design Department Head for the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design, Nathan Howe, Landscape Architecture and Regional Community Planning Department Head for the College of Architecture, Planning, and Design, Houston Gibson, Provost and Executive Vice President Chuck Tabor, and University President Dr. Richard H. Lynn.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Senator Kidd.
Yeah, for line 50, can we just have doctor in front of Chuck Tabor, please?
Thank you. Are there any, Senator Solomon?
Is it a question or correction? I'm not sure if on line 22, design intelligence is one word. I don't know if that's intentional.
It is one word.
Cool. Sounds good.
Are there any further questions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator Glasscock.
I move to approve resolution 23-2417 unanimous.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve this unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing none, it will stand approved. Okay, next we have resolution 23-2418. Is there a motion to consider? Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider resolution 18.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
All right, let's get this roast cooking. Okay, so I'm going to be up here for a hot minute. Could you add UPC to this? I'm so sorry, I forgot to add them to the send.
Send them?
Yeah.
Section 12.
And then also, would you be able to send out the sponsorship form?
Yes.
Appreciate it. I think everyone would appreciate it if a lot of the senators sponsored it. It would mean a lot. So this is resolution 23-2418, commendation to Halo for the 10th annual Miss Belize Latina pageant. Authors me, sponsors Brian Blood, Kate Thomas, and Peyton Lynn. Whereas on April 23rd, 2023, the Hispanic American Leadership Organization hosted their 10th annual Miss Belize Latina pageant. Whereas Latina women compete for the title of Miss Belize Latina at this pageant, whereas the participants engage in academic, professional, and social development, such as presenting, interviewing, public speaking, and time management. Whereas each contestant shared a platform and a subject they wish to bring attention to, whereas through all the hard work, the winner receives a title, scholarship, and the opportunity to host a social justice event sponsored by Halo. Whereas in the pageant, there are different categories the contestants could win, such as Miss Crowd Favorite, Miss Amistosa, Miss Dedication, Miss GPA, Miss Swimwear, Miss Talent, and Miss Elegance. Whereas after all the categories are awarded, the runner-up and Miss Belize Latina are announced. Whereas the winner of, period, we love that email. Whereas the winner of the 2023-2024 Miss Belize Latina title is Lori Beth Claro, whereas this prestigious title is held by many impactful and inspiring women, including 2022-2023 Miss Bella's Latina pageant winner Tamara Lopez Monroe. Whereas the Miss Bella's Latina pageant provides a cross-cultural learning experience and education on the topics of diversity, inclusion, and discrimination based on race, gender, and other factors. And whereas the pageant provides a platform for Latina women to showcase their talents, skills, and cultural heritage. Be it resolved that Section 1, Kansas State University Student Governing Association, commends the Hispanic American Leadership Organization on the Miss Bella's Latina pageant. This pageant has given the K-State University student community an opportunity to learn about and appreciate the different cultures represented within our student body. Section 2, upon passage by the Student Senate and the signature of the Student Body President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to HALO President Maria I, HALO Vice President Israel Q, HALO Miss Bella's Latina Coordinator Andrea C, Miss Bella's Latina MC Anthony Molina, Miss Bella's Latina MC Victor B, Miss Bella's Latina 2022-2023 Tamara Lopez Monroe, Miss Bella's Latina it's a lot of reading, y'all. 2023-2024 Lori Beth Claro, Executive Director of Diversity and Multicultural Student Affairs Mirta Chavez, Director of Diversity and Multicultural Student Life Kevin Santos Flores, Vice President for Student Life and Dean of Students Dr. Thomas Lane, and University President Dr. Richard H. Linton. Period.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator Compton?
I move to approve Resolution 18 unanimously.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve this resolution unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing none, it will stand approved. Next up, we have Resolution 23-2419. Is there a motion? Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider Resolution 19.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
All right, so this is Resolution 23-2419, Commendation to the Indian Student Association for Sanskrit. Authors me, sponsors Ethan Pilchard and Peyton Lynn. Whereas on April 15th, 2023, the Indian Student Association hosted Sanskrit, a celebration of Indian culture. Whereas the event showcased some of the diverse forms of Indian art and culture through an exhibition. Whereas this year, the event also included different classical and folk performances, including a Hindustani. Someone correct me. I know there's someone in the audience. Jyoti, I'm looking at you because you were a part of it. Correct me. Call me out. MB, I'm just going to say initials, BP, and K representing the different states of India. Whereas apart from the traditional dances, Sanskrit brings in contemporary Bollywood dances, performances, which are ever-growing in India. Whereas there is also food from India to help students become connected to the culture and the event. Whereas with India having 400 official languages and 1,652 dialects, several races, ethnicities, and religions within India, Sanskrit was an event that represented many different backgrounds and brought the Kansas State University community together. Be resolved that the Kansas State University Student Governing Association commends the Indian Student Association on their hard work putting together Sanskrit. Through Sanskrit, the Kansas State University student body was able to gain cultural education and explore their educational domain beyond the classroom experience. In Section 2, upon passage of the Student Senate and signature of the Student Body President, a copy of this resolution shall be sent to President of the Indian Student Association, Deepesh Argwal, Vice President of the Indian Student Association, Vidya Nader, International Student and Scholar Services Director, Sarah Thurston, Vice President for Student Life and Dean of Students, Dr. Thomas Lane, and University President Dr. Richard H. Linton.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author? Seeing none, is there a motion? Senator Glasscock.
I move to approve Resolution 19 unanimously. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this resolution will, Chair Cuesta?
No, I don't have it.
Oh, okay. Seeing none, it will stand approved. Next up, we have Resolution 23-2420. Is there a motion? Chair Cuesta.
I move to consider Resolution 20. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Will the author please come forward?
Can someone please let me summarize? Thank you, Tommy. I'm gonna wait.
Senator Compton.
I move to allow the author to summarize.
Second. I object.
So it has been moved and seconded to allow the author to summarize, and it has also been objected. So the motion to allow the author to summarize would allow Senator Pondillo to just kind of tell you what it's about rather than reading everything off. We're going to go into a hand vote. If you think that Senator Pondillo should be allowed to summarize, raise your placard now. Those opposed? You can summarize.
Thank you. Okay, cool. So this is Resolution 232420, commendation to the diverse student organization leaders of Kansas State University. Whereas being a diverse student at Kansas State University can be very hard and feel lonesome, whereas staying true to background, religion, race, sexual orientation, ability, and so much more can be hard when faced with adversity. Whereas presence of different diverse student organizations on campus have stayed true to their identity and have helped educate others on theirs, whereas much of their work is underappreciated despite their laborious positions as diverse student leaders. Whereas these leaders have shown hard work, dedication, selflessness, leadership, and passion to their organization that they represent, whereas all the hard work has been shown through various events such as volunteering, fundraising, hosting events, creating conversations, and learning environments, and opening doors for their successors. And whereas altogether this leaves future leaders and KSU a better future on the horizons for all. And then the Be It Enacted part, section 1 and 2. That's a lot of names. I appreciate them. I wrote them down. I'm not going to read it out. I love them though. Bada bing, bada boom.
Are there any questions or corrections for the author?
Love it.
Seeing none, is there a motion?
I have a correction. It's just at the very end with university president, just remove the comma and then put a period at the end.
Thank you. Senator Solomon.
I move to approve resolution 20 unanimously.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve this resolution unanimously. Are there any objections? Seeing none, the resolution will stand approved. Okay, now we will move into approval of appointments. Is there a motion to consider Resolution 232416? Senator Kamen.
I move to consider resolution 232416.
Second.
Will the author please come forward?
We haven't kept up. This is going to take a second. Hold on. Okay. Resolution 232416, approval of Student Body President's Cabinet. Authors Jessica Binkley, Caleb Stout, and Jacob Brown. Sponsors the Senate Operations Committee. Whereas the Constitution and bylaws of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU-SGA, specify the executive branch of KSU-SGA includes the following positions as members of the Student Body President's Cabinet: Public Relations Director, College of Technology and Aviation Representative, International Affairs Director, Multicultural Affairs Director, Legislative Director, Local Relations Director, Sustainability Director, Technology Director, Academic Affairs Director, Graduate Student Council, Student Governing Association Liaison, Athletics Liaison, Basic Needs Director, and Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Director. Whereas included in the President's Cabinet in the 2023-2024 KSU-SGA term are a Campus Access Director, Campus Connections Director, Student Finance Director, Health and Wellbeing Director, and Professional Opportunity Director. Whereas these positions were sufficiently advertised by applications made available to all students who showed interest in KSU-SGA via social media and the K-State Today. Whereas there were 32 applicants for these positions, and whereas these individuals were chosen on the basis of their leadership ability, experience, and dedication to serving the students of Kansas State University throughout the 2023-2024 KSU-SGA term. Be it resolved that Section 1, the following individuals be confirmed as members of the 2023-2024 Student Body President's Cabinet: Academic Affairs Director, Paige Volgamore; Athletics Liaison, Easton Roberts; Basic Needs Director, Adelaide Easter; Campus Access Director, Caitlin Solis; Campus Connections Director, Peyton Wexelman; College of Technology and Aviation Representative, Henry Kirshen; Health and Wellbeing Director, Jessica Ramirez; International Affairs Director, Jyothi Lakshmi Kalarikal; Legislative Director, Logan Cohn; Local Relations Director, Bentley Talbert; Multicultural Affairs Director Ibrahim Chifchi, Professional Opportunity Director Emily Howard, Public Relations Director Taylor Witt, Sexual Assault Prevention and Awareness Director Marin Wills, Student Finance Director Gabe Roberts, Sustainability Director Sophia Cole, and Technology Director Lance Philgreen.
Are there any questions or corrections?
I have a correction. We need to strike line 40, the College of Technology and Aviation representative. We'll figure that out later.
Are there any further questions or corrections for the author?
If I may butt in, why do we need to strike my name from the document?
Hey, Henry, I can answer that. So you are the student senate representative, not the cabinet representative.
Oh, my mistake. Yep. That's Cassie.
Yep, so that's why we're striking your name from the document. We got the positions mixed up.
All right, thank you.
Not a problem.
Do we need to add her too? Or he said that's Cassie. Do we need to add her too? That's okay.
Is there a motion to approve this resolution? Senator Griffith.
I move to approve Resolution 16 unanimously.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this will stand approved. Caleb, do you want to come swear in your cabinet? Any cabinet members, if you would like to come down and get sworn in.
Okay, pretty full front of the chamber here. Cabinet, if you would, all raise your right hand, and then I'm going to read this, and at the end say, I do.
I will.
I will. Thank you, Evan. Say I will when I finish reading this. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of your office and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association.
I will.
Okay, so now we're going to go through and do introductions. So do name, major, hometown, favorite smell. Caitlin, we'll start with you.
I'm Caitlin Solis. I'm a physics and math major. My hometown is San Diego, California, and my favorite smell is roses.
I'm Sophia Cole. I'm from Garnett, Kansas. I'm majoring in finance, and favorite smell, campfire.
My name is Paige Volgamore. I'm a sophomore in Ag Econ from Scott City, Kansas, and my favorite smell is rain.
Hi, my name is Jyoti. My major is human health biology. I'm from Garden City, Kansas, and my favorite smell is caramel.
Hi, my name is Marin. I'm from Olathe, Kansas. I'm a psychology pre-med major, and my favorite smell is Baskin-Robbins waffle cones.
My name is Adelaide Easter. I'm a sophomore studying agricultural economics, and I'm from Salina, Kansas. And my favorite smell is the strawberry soda lotion from Bath & Body Works.
Hi, my name's Taylor Witt. My pronouns are she, her, from Bentonville, Arkansas. My major is strategic communications. Sorry for the cough, I have asthma. It's not anything bad. And my favorite smell is amber and saffron. It's the perfume I wear, so if you ever smell it, I'll send you the link.
My name is Ibrahim Chifchi. I'm a freshman in medical biochemistry, and I'm the Multicultural Affairs Director, officially. My hometown is Manhattan, Kansas, and my favorite smell is apple pie.
Hi, I'm Bentley Talbert. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri. I'm a political science major on the pre-law track. I'm the local relations director, and my favorite smell is like fresh linen, like some good laundry detergent.
Hi, I'm Emily Howard. I am a sales and entrepreneurship major from Eudora, Kansas, and my favorite smell is cilantro.
Hi, my name is Peyton Wexman. I'm a junior studying HR and supply chain. I'm from Manhattan, Kansas. I'm going to be the campus connections director, and my favorite smell is a nice fresh cut lawn after a good mow.
Hi, my name is Easton Roberts. I'm from Manhattan, Kansas. I'm currently studying personal financial planning. I'm a sophomore, and I will be the athletic liaison. And my favorite smell is fresh rain.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gabe Roberts. I'm an accounting major. I'll be your finance director. Hometown St. George, Kansas. It's pretty close. I like the smell of Subway. Personal favorite.
Hi, I'm Lance Fogarine. I'm a freshman studying MIS. I'm the new tech director here, and my favorite smell is probably evergreen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jess Ramirez. I am the new Director of Health and Wellbeing, and I'm finishing up a master's in sociology right now, starting a PhD in leadership communication in August, as well as a second master's in public health in August. My hometown is Ventura, California, and my favorite smell is fresh linen.
My name is Logan. I'm from Denver, Colorado. I'm studying supply chain management. I'm the legislative director. My favorite scent is coffee.
Awesome. Next up on our agenda, we have Resolution 232421. It is not on the front page of the agenda, but the legislation is there in order. I completely left it off the agenda on accident, so that was one of the 17 emails you got today. Chair Long.
Move to consider resolution 21.
Second. It has been moved and seconded to consider Resolution 21. Resolution 232421, approval of Strategic Oversight Committee Chair, authors Brian Blood and Kate Thomas. Whereas there is currently a vacancy for the position of Kansas State University Student Governing Association, KSU-SGA, Strategic Oversight Standing Committee Chair. Whereas this position was sufficiently advertised by applications made available to all students who showed interest in the position. Whereas there were 4 applicants for this position, and whereas Dakota Broughton was chosen as by the Speaker of the Student Senate for the role of Strategic Oversight Committee Chair on the basis of their leadership ability, experience, and dedication to serving students of Kansas State University throughout the 2023-2024 KSU-SGA term. Be it resolved that, Section 1, the following individual be approved as the 2023-2024 Kansas State University Student Governing Association Strategic Oversight Committee Chair, Dakota Broughton. Are there any questions or corrections? Senator Bellamy.
It's not a correction. I move to approve the resolution unanimously. Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that will stand approved. Dakota, if you want to come get sworn in. Raise your right hand and say "I will" at the end. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of Strategic Oversight Committee Chair and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Kansas State University Student Governing Association.
I will.
Awesome. If you want to do name, pronouns, major, hometown, favorite smell.
I'm Dakota Broughton, he, him. My major is chemical engineering. I'm a junior. And I am from Olathe, or Lenexa more specifically. And my favorite smell is balsam fir or spruce, specifically when it's cold outside.
We will now move into committee reports. Are there any committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Chair Long.
Ethan, do you mind pointing that presentation? Yeah. Hey, Lynn, thank you for the Canva account.
Okay, so the resolution you're going to see here in a minute is a recommendation to raise the student services fee percentage by 2%. And I thought some context on why that is necessary or why we've introduced it would be helpful. Next slide, please. So currently, that student services fee is $479.40 per student. So you pay that every semester if you're a full in-person student. Our budget going for this year is going to be about $4.1 million. That's allocated by the committee you see up there. You've all seen a lot of this recently, so I won't go over it too much. But the basic idea is we charge the students that amount of money that goes into our $4.1 million budget that we allocate to, Ethan? These entities. So the big ones being Lafine and CAPS, the unit, and the rec, and then a lot of other stuff on that list. There's some tertiary accounts and whatever stuff like that. Basically, we fund all these student-centered entities. So like the room we are standing in has the lights turned on because of that money that we pay. We pay for all that. We pay for the everyone at Lafine and CAPS and such like that. A lot of money to a lot of important positions is the basic idea there. So a lot of stuff on this slide, but the basic part is there's two separate parts of SSF. We have the budget, which we set on 3-year cycles. When we say review an entity, that means we are setting their budget for the next 3 fiscal years to say how much money they're going to get. And all of that, we have our total overall budget every year. And then we have our actual revenue. That's how much we have students times 2 for semesters times $479.40, how much we actually bring in revenue-wise. And if those two don't line up, we have a deficit, and then we have to figure out, like, Lafine still needs to get its money, so where does Lafine get its money from? And we have a deficit, and it's not great. If the deficit is large enough, we have the insufficient funds clause, which basically means in the middle of a year, we say entities, we're sorry, we are taking back your money, figure it out, which is the worst case scenario we've had to do twice in recent years. COVID and such like that. Next slide, please. So, Evan, I'm sorry I forgot to change the colors. Here is the Blake Phillips graph. Basically, this shows our budget versus our revenue. So if we go back to the 2016, 2018 times, it's pretty close, but then we start having a higher budget than we do revenue. So we bring in less than we promised to people. Bad. We were able to basically use our reserves a little bit to pay for that. Not too big of a deal. We said, you know what, we are spending more than we can, but it's fine because we'll fix it in the coming years. It's gonna be all right pending a crisis. And then crisis, COVID. Enrollment. Since we collect this based on enrollment shot down through the tank. People were online. We collected about 75% of what we needed to. It was all bad. There's a deficit of $4 million. So we decided, okay, we need to fix this now. And so over the past couple fiscal years, we've been slowly trying to reduce the budget, which is that purple going down, and raise our revenue through modifying the way we collect the fee and then fee increases. And as you can see, now in 2023, we are very, very close. Our deficit last year was only $13,000-ish. That's how much we didn't bring in. We had to pull out of reserves. So we're getting very close to actually, being fiscally solvent and having a budget in the green, which is a huge milestone and goal, but there's work left to do, unfortunately. So, why? That is enrollment for the university in vague terms, a nice, almost linear decline. The university's enrollment is just going down, plain and simple all around. It is on a decline. Dramatically speaking, I think this has an 18.4% decrease since 2018 as of this year. Ethan? So, why is that really bad? Can we expect, there are some colleges that are having enrollment increases and enrollment is starting to trend up. Why is it bad? Who remembers the snake analogy? Who was here for Cameron Koger? So few of us. That's so sad. So there's a big fancy word called matriculation, and it basically means that things go a snake, as you will. If it eats a rat, the rat is going to be in the snake for a while before it exits the snake, right? Enrollment is not a 1-year problem. It's a 4-year problem. So basically, that senior class is when COVID happened. Our class sizes prior to COVID were pretty similar to that senior class size. But after COVID hit, they immediately shot down. And we're now normalized closer to these junior, sophomore, freshman classes. But it's not, once we hit those new numbers, that's what we play with, we still have larger classes that leave. So we are still benefiting budget-wise. We are collecting revenue off off of larger classes that after this year will be gone. So it's not just declining enrollment. We're about to lose a huge cohort of students that we will not gain back for a very long time because of this matriculation effect. Ethan? So here are a couple just graphs that show very basically what is going to happen with our money. So no fee increase. We got the top scenario. Big gap between the budget and the revenue. Lots of money we don't have. Very bad. Insufficient funds. Very possible. We had to tell entities, sorry, we need you to give us your money back. Please figure out how to pay your staff or keep your lights on. Very, very bad. We don't want that. With the increases we passed last year and hopefully this year, that red line goes above the blue line. Yay, we actually have money. We have a green budget. It is fiscally solvent. We do not have to worry about not having enough money. We can fulfill our basic obligation and pay our bills. This is what the goal is. Now, it's not just we don't want to be net zero. We want to have a little more money, but I'll get into that more later. Basically, we would like to be able to give back into our entities. We have been cutting them down to the bone for years now, and we would like to be able to put more money back into them so they can start growing again or start giving back the services. Another part of that is, for the past 3 years, we have zoinked everybody's reserve and repair accounts to help put off this and maintain the budget. So no one's been able to do any deferred maintenance or repairs for a long time now, and that's going to come to a head here pretty quick. So we want to be able to raise those back up again and allow them to replace equipment. Like the rec needs to be able to buy new athletic equipment, and the union needs to be able to paint the walls and remediate that asbestos. Next slide, please. Okay, so the new rate, it is $489.24, or an increase of $9.84. The basic part I put up there is at $78.72, and I'll talk more about this when I get the legislation here in a minute. But the goal we should be thinking about tonight is this increase worth at least $78.72 to students? If it is, then it's the right choice to do. I think that's it, Ethan. Oh, no, another reason. So, yeah, sorry, slides. I got this data though from Shecky Davis over at CAPS here about 3 hours ago or so. That's why it's new. For those who remember, we had to last term review CAPS out of cycle because they were unable to. CAPS we allocate money to, and they said we are unable to operate our entity. Like we cannot fulfill our obligation. We cannot give counseling services. We do not have enough money to pay our staff, keep the lights on, anything like that. So we reviewed them. We raised their budget about $250,000 because we had cut them too much, and they need to be able to pay for what they need to do to be able to provide a student service. We were giving them money, but they were not able to provide the service we had asked them to provide, which is just an all-around loss. We had to raise them. We had cut too much, and they didn't have enough they didn't have enough from the previous years. We have done that to almost every single entity, and I refuse to believe that CAPS will be the only one that this happens to. We have got to start bringing these entities back up. They have sacrificed for us over the past years so we can keep our budget close to solvent. They're going to need to come back up to be able to provide services that students deserve on this campus. Questions?
Are there any questions? Senator Fogel.
How does our financial situation compare to other institutions?
Similar in that it's not great, but better than some other ones. Our student services fee has done a really, really good job at making the sacrifices. Like we cut millions of dollars out of the budget, which is painful. And we used $5 million of our reserves, which is also very painful. But thankfully, previous years, we have been able to build those reserves up, and the committee has done a very good job of saying we're going to make the hard decisions and cut those costs. So, like I said, every peer institution is suffering these same impacts. Evan, you're shaking your head at me.
I mean, there's some institutions are seeing enrollment increases while we're seeing enrollment decreases.
True. So, fiscally speaking, everyone's had to make decreasing costs and has seen issues with the money. Some institutions haven't been able to get their enrollment up faster than we have ours.
Senator Griffith.
How did you come to the specific percentage amount that you are increasing it by?
So that comes from a number that is an even percentage. For our budgeting, we need to have even percentages. Secondly, it puts us in the green. That is the percent that puts us over the line. And so we have some money. It is the lowest amount of money that we can safely ask students to give us, but also be able to give back into their services and not remain insufficient funds. Blake Phillips also has some crazy math and algorithms that he ran, and that supported that as well.
Senator Glasscock.
Perhaps the opposite question that we should be asking, what is the reason for not raising this more?
Because student affordability is by far the best, our greatest concern. I would love to raise it. Well, that's not true. It would be great if, by magic, we had $20 million and I could build a monorail system on campus, and it'd be amazing. But that is not affordable for students. We need to be able to we need to be able to be good stewards of our money and be able to pay our bills. But we don't want to be pricing students out. We also want to make sure we're lower than all the people around us in that school down the road. So,
Chair Sushanik.
Could you explain the importance of leaving a lot of money in our reserve account, just in case?
so by a lot, the basic answer is we've taken so much we don't have a lot anymore. The exact numbers are in my handbook. I apologize, but they're low. And A, we don't want another crisis. B, we want to rebuild those. C, that's what we do for big student projects and things we want to do with the university and partnerships. And there are a couple of those potentially coming down the road. We would like to have some money to be able to partner with the university to do stuff for students. So basic idea, be able to do stuff for students.
Senator Brockner.
Oh yeah. By the way, thank you for presenting. But on one of the previous slides, it showed that there is a 3% increase this year and then a 2% next year.
Backwards. Sorry. We did it last year, 3%.
Okay. I just need a clarification.
So yeah, we did a 3% increase last year, and that resulted in us only having a $13,000 deficit. So we can very safely say that was definitely absolutely required. And now enrollment will go down again. We will collect less money, but it will go down less than it has. So 2% is what we need now.
Okay. Thank you.
Senator Kamen.
You mentioned something about Blake's fun graphs and stuff. Would you be able to share any of that? I'm just curious. I can see them.
No, I'm sorry, Jeremy. It's basically it was just a backup. Evan seems to have other Evan, do you know the actual ins and outs of the algorithm and graphs?
I mean, the algorithm was just Blake taking the projected deficit number for next year that Jen Owens, the Student Services Fee Advisor, Budget Office employee, gave him, and doing the math backwards to figure out how much money we need to collect in revenue.
Oh, I have also done the same fancy algorithms. Yeah, never mind. Blake hyped up his math, but I have done the same math, and it's still the same.
So you just do next year's budget divided by expected enrollment to get what our revenue per student needs to be, and then work backwards from there.
Yeah. I didn't know that. It was, Blake sold me so much more.
Senator Broughton.
Yeah, are we doing anything to fix the root of the problem, like that we're having decreasing enrollment? Are we doing anything to increase enrollment, and if so, what?
Who's we? I'm sorry, Dakota.
You guys probably not specifically, but in general, is K-State doing anything to raise enrollment?
Dr. Jackson.
Yeah, actually projections are up for this coming fall based on early indication of enrollment for orientation enrollment, as well as housing contracts. I do a report every Monday. We're up about 154 as of Monday, first-year students this year over last year. And actually, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, our momentum moving forward is even greater. We've changed the out-of-state scholarshiping, which has really helped. And we've tried to meet some of the financial scholarshiping for in-state students as well. So we're starting to close the gap.
With that, time for questions has expired.
Chair Cuesta.
I move to extend the speaker's time by 7 minutes.
Time for a question.
It has been moved and seconded to extend the speaker's time for questioning by 7 minutes. Senator Pondillo.
Yeah, could you go back a couple slides to the graphs? So is there a reason why you didn't include like a no increase? So like we see like a 3% increase, which we all have.
The top.
Do you have one with just a 3-year increase, or is that it? If not, could you point out?
Yeah, I have it on how on the slide. Joseph, basically, if you right around there, so below, we would not have enough money. The deficit would be in the mid-high 6 figures.
Senator Fogel.
This might be a question for Dr. Jackson. Do you expect that we can get enrollment numbers back up to pre-COVID levels? And if so, is that a 10-year process, a 5-year process? What's that?
You know, I'm an optimist, and the president also is an optimist. He has indicated we're doing what we can to change the trajectory. One of the things that is a part of our enrollment picture that has been a challenge is the global recruitment. COVID has been impactful in some of our major markets, so I know our international numbers are also responding. So I think we will get back closer to where we were at. And in some ways, you know, you look at a projection, we fell about 700 first-year students from 2019, which was pre-pandemic, to the fall of 20. So that's 700 freshman class, and it happened twice. So freshman and sophomore years, 2 years in a row, we were down in that about a 700 drop in our first-year students. We inched back 100 a year ago for this past fall's class. If we go up another 150, we're a third of the way there. I think we'll get back, and it's taken a concerted effort from a financial standpoint. I know our foundation is working on cash scholarships. A lot of times donations go to the foundation, it builds up an endowment, and they spin out about 2 to 4% return based on the market. Our foundation said we need cash now, so they're taking a lot of the donations and actually not putting them in endowments and using them as cash scholarships. So I think that's going to help us respond quicker. And I know the Veneer family has done an agreement to every $30,000 that comes in, they'll match $30,000. Those go straight to scholarships. And I think we're getting some momentum behind that. But it takes time to respond. A lot of our competition has been, to be honest with you, they've taken advantage of our downturn. So I think we're going to grow. I don't know how quickly it's going to happen. We keep growing 150 a year. It could be back in 3 years. We'll be back up to where we were in 19.
So getting better, but still have problems.
Senator Kidd.
Yeah, so what date would this request be presented to K Board?
Oh, April 25th, I believe. Yes.
So 2 days
Wait,
ago?
No, that's not it.
May 5th.
May 5th, sorry. Yes, something in the office was due April 25th. That doesn't affect this. May 5th, sorry. I've had to learn so much about the Kansas legislature that I never thought I would learn. Yeah.
Are there any further questions? Senator Melcher.
Do the calculations here take into account possible re-enrollees in other classes? So you might have had students that stopped enrolling as a sophomore during COVID, and they might re-enroll next year? Or is this just comparing the exiting senior class to the incoming expected freshman class?
As far as I'm aware from Jen Owensby, our advisor, the number of students that re-enroll is always dramatically less than the number of students that drop out. So that the amount that re-enroll is not a significant factor in that calculation, no.
I guess then are both of those factored into this, or is it just class to class?
It's class to class with it's just class to class.
Okay.
Are there any further questions? Senator Kidd.
Yeah, question for you, but maybe also a question for Dr. Jackson. I think, or can someone speak to the importance of like student credit hour production and all this? Like numbers are great, but I mean, it's actually the student credit hours that I think is also important. So can anyone speak on that at all?
I'm not familiar with that.
It isn't just headcount, as Margaret just said. It is about enrollment in actual credit classes. And they do monitor that. Actually, at the budget cycle, they'll take more of a look at that than actual headcount. Because that is, it's interesting to watch. 10, 15 years ago, we started seeing a drop in the number of credit classes, credit hours. You know, students were picking, let's say, 12 hours, and they could take 3 hours out of community college. You know, 10, 15 years ago, you would take 15 hours at K-State. Well, that drop in 3 credit hours is a significant reduction. And so as we do our projections, we look at the credit hours taken. And I think some of the retention issues that are at play here, you know, students are spreading costs out. So they're taking fewer credits because every credit costs, right? Once you get up to 12 and 13, 14, 15, those credits cost you more. So we're seeing a trend that our students are taking less credits here at K-State while maintaining enrollment here. They're picking up hours over the summer at home, picking up hours online. I know both my daughters are graduates of K-State. Basically, my daughter graduates in 2 weeks. My youngest, they almost always took a non-K-State class over the summer to help fill a void. And that hurts K-State from a projection, but I also appreciate the fact that our students, families are looking at affordability for education.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, you may take your seat. Are there any further committee chairs that would like to give a report tonight? Seeing none, we will move into directors' reports. Are there any directors that would like to give a report tonight? Comms Director Coy.
Can you pull up my slides?
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Riley Coy, and I'm not going to take up too much of your time. This is just kind of an update for us going into the summer. So next slide. This is just a reminder, if you have not gotten your headshots taken by me, if you signed up for a time and for some reason you didn't make it, please reach out to me at my email. It's up there, and it's also in the agenda. They'll be used for like the SGA social media and possibly the website. So yeah, just please get it done, and then I'll email them to you so you can use them on your email or anything else you may need them for. So the main reason I'm kind of giving this report tonight is because I need your help with some content over the summer. One thing that I'm wanting to kind of start doing over the summer is having you guys do some story takeovers and then implement this into next semester as well. Just because it has kind of been pointed out in different conversations that we can be seen as very intimidating. And so this will just go to show we still go to class, we still do internships, we are just regular people. And I'm still finishing out like the logistics of this completely for over the summer and next semester. But if you're interested, go ahead and reach out to me so I can get that information to you when it becomes available. And then another thing that I'm wanting to do this summer is I want you to send me your pictures of what you're doing, just so I can still have some posts in our feed. So if you're going on vacation, if you're doing an internship somewhere, if you're on a mission trip and you're able to send me pictures, it would be great so I can post them kind of in a collage thing. So that's a brief overview. Do you have any questions for me?
Are there any questions? Seeing none, you may take your seat. Okay, we will now move into final action. Is there a... Are there any further director's reports? Awesome. Now moving into final action. We have Resolution 232415. Have any changes been made?
A couple. Caleb Stout, student body president, was added as a sponsor. The deficit number on line 41 was corrected to 13,544. And the committee voted on Monday 8-0 in favor of the fee increase, and that is added in the whereas clause on line 64 and 65.
Okay. Are there any further questions or corrections? You have first rights to debate.
Nice. Okay. I said most of what my debate is with that committee report. The facts are there. Enrollment's going down. Costs are not. Inflation is rising. And we have seen now with CAPS that we simply have cut some entities too deep, and we need to give money back to them. We have got to get to a fiscally solvent, above green. We need to be able to have more money than we're expending. We have a basic financial responsibility to be able to pay the bills we told people we're going to be able to pay. And we have to be able to fulfill those obligations. I've said the word endowed a lot in these speeches recently, but I'll say it again. We are endowed with incredible responsibility and trust and power to allocate these millions of student dollars. And we need to make the hard decisions to say, yes, it may not be what we want to do, but we cannot operate in the red on purpose. We've got to be in the green. We've got to be able to bring up our money. I showed the graphs. It may, for me, originally I was like, we're pretty close. We don't need to really do much. It'll probably figure itself out. No. The matriculation, we're going to lose students. Enrollment's declining, and 13,000 may not seem like a lot of money, but it's going to get worse, like I said, up into those mid-six-figure ranges. This increase fixes that problem. Something else I really was thinking originally was we can just pay for that out of reserves, not a problem. I say me originally, this is Jacob back a year ago, sacked Jacob thinking that $13,000 was a whole lot of money back with the $65,000 budget. We can just pay for that out of reserves. We spent $5 million out of our reserves in the last 3 years. We spent almost a third of a year budget out of reserves. We've been draining those things. And now, well, part of that was for the one-time funding. So for those that weren't around, we did one-time funding to Lafine, CAPS, the REC, and the union out of those reserves to say, here's money to buy equipment and to do things. And they did great amounts. They did great with that money. We can see that they need the money. They are able to use it. And then we had CAPS who said, we need more money, please. We cannot operate. We raised them by 34% of their budget up to like $900,000 and added on $250,000 to our budget. Something else that I've had great fear with recently is, when does it stop? Because we had a 3% and now we're going to do a 2%. What's to stop us again? Basic answer, it is a huge team effort between us, the university administration, and KBOR to actually let these increases line up. KBOR has been not friendly to these increases for a long time now, and this is the year they say, we know you need it, please come with what you need, because you might not be getting one again for a very long time. And this is the moment, this is the time now to say, here's what we need to be financially responsible, but also consider student affordability and well-being, and this is the amount of money for that. If nothing else, guys, we've got to pay our bills, please. Thank you.
Seeing as that was debate in the positive, are there any speeches in the negative? Senator Kermer.
Good evening. I'm sure we can make a drinking game of how many times we can say College of Architecture tonight. I'm here today to express my opposition to the proposed SSF increase. I cannot in good faith vote to increase the fee after we just voted to increase it last year by 3%. As a representative of the College of Architecture Planning and Design, I decided to conduct a survey to gauge the sentiment of the College of APD students regarding the proposed increase. The survey laid out what exact services the fee pays for, and out of 136 responses to that survey, 67% of those survey takers say they do not want an increase, especially after an increase last year. I will note that 136 respondents is great for the College of Architecture, considering only 11 people voted in the last SGA election. This is a significant percentage, and I will bet you that the College of APD is just a sample size for how students of other colleges on campus feel towards an increase. I will also add the amount of eye rolls that I got when I said there's a proposed fee increase is extremely noteworthy. With tuition costs through the roof, coupled with increasing cost of living with today's economy, it is unfair for us to impose another financial burden on our already stressed out students. It shouldn't always be put onto the students to cover the bottom line issues that have been caused by declines in enrollment. I think we can all agree that the cost of college education right now is pretty insane, so why would you willingly try and increase the cost even further? We all know that we'd never see the bill to decrease the student services fee if it came down to it in the future. It's almost at $500 a semester now. Time for some more numbers. According to the National College Health Assessment sponsored by the Morrison Family Center for Student Wellbeing in 2022, finances came in third for contributing to moderate or high stress levels for students here at K-State. In that same survey, 15% of survey respondents say finances are an academic impediment here at K-State. It's extremely eye-opening. I urge the Student Senate to consider the result of the College of APD survey and the Morrison Family Student for Center Wellbeing survey when casting their votes. It is your job to represent the people of your respective colleges, so it is crucial to keep in mind how your constituents would respond to a similar survey. If you don't take in that factor, you're doing your college a disservice. It is time for us to say no to an increased price tag.
Thank you. Seeing as that was debate in the negative, are there any further speeches in the positive? Senator Solomon.
Hello, everyone. So this is a piece of legislation that I have thought a lot about. I had a conversation with both Jacob and also Nick probably a couple of years ago at this point in a coffee shop about how we should handle money when it comes to charging students more each year. I was of the opinion that we continually increase rates for students to pay for college, and that is like harmful because like student affordability is a huge issue, as Jacob has mentioned. I have now changed my mind for a couple reasons, and I think it's specifically for this and not other things such as raising tuition or other things for students. First, I think this increase is not only needed right now, but also the benefit that comes from the $80 increase basically over the course of 4 years that students are paying is worth the benefits of it. Those $80 are basically going to allow Student Government Association to continue functioning at a level it was prior to COVID, which is wonderful because that means we can continue building relationships with these different entities. These entities can then function as they typically were. We don't have to keep recalling them and asking them to continue giving up money, which not only obviously harms their operating expenses, but also harms like their ability and desire to work for students, right? If you're continually being asked to give up stuff and never have anything in return or being told we're going to stop, then that weighs a toll over time. Secondly, to answer some arguments that were made by previous speaker, I understand that increasing like the cost of going to college can be detrimental, but I think in this case specifically, it is something that the money that students are paying directly benefits them. If you're paying tuition, if you're paying fees, that does not necessarily directly benefit them because like that goes to a myriad of different topics and like things at the university that might not be student focused. The student services fee is literally what serves students. It is all the entities and resources on campus that we largely find most useful and that I think serve us the most. If we didn't have the rec, if we didn't have the union, if we didn't have the Lafine, a lot of like the key aspects of our well-being just would not be to, I think, the level that they are, and I think we should be fortunate for that. This 2% increase is not only timely because KBOR has had a pretty hardline stance on not increasing this in the past, but also it's necessary to ensure that students continue being able to experience the resources at K-State in a way that is not negative that we've been experiencing these past couple of years. I think that to answer the sustainability argument, I would offer two reasons. One, this is not something we are going to be able to pass at all in the next coming years because KBOR is not going to. They have stated that multiple times over the course of the past couple of years, and they made it clear that right now is the time to ask for that money. And two, this is just as much as we need to ensure that not only we can continue functioning and the university continue functioning, but that students are able to access these resources in a reasonable manner without like constantly having them cut through different ways. I understand the ability to afford college is a huge issue, but I think this is a compromise that allows us to solve a lot of the problems while also retaining students at K-State. It's basically just impact calc. The cost of having to pay an extra $80 is very much worth the benefits we receive. So I would encourage you to take that into account when you're weighing the different aspects of these arguments. Thank you.
I want to thank that speaker for their speech. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there further debate in the negative? Senator Koch.
I'm short. So hi guys, I've been up here a few times talking about like Thrive and stuff, but you guys don't really like know who I am. So my name is Anna Grace Koch. I am majoring in regional and community planning with minors in leadership and business. I always seem to forget how much of a mouthful that is. But let me start off by asking you guys a question. Do you know about all of the programs that the Student Service Fee funds and what they actually do for students? Please raise your hand if you know about all of them. Is the main reason you know about these because of your involvement in SGA? So over the past few days, I have talked with students with a diversity of backgrounds from 5 colleges around the university. And so whenever I've talked to them, they didn't know what SGA was, or they didn't even know that we had senators that represent them. So we have been elected by the students for the students. So what are we doing if we're not actually like going out and talking with them, seeing about what they think about ideas that actually affect them? The overall consensus that has been determined is they are very against the increase for the student services fee. Most of them I talked to didn't even know what some of the services and programs that were funded through this fee are, so they obviously haven't been able to use them. Line 15 in this resolution states that there have been multiple years of enrollment decline. Our first gut instinct shouldn't be to increase fees in order to raise more money. We should be addressing the larger issue here and addressing why why our enrollment is declining. If we want to keep students here, increasing fees is not the way to do it. Contrary to what has been said so far, I have heard from many sources that enrollment is actually increasing for the next academic year, which actually may provide more funding than originally expected. I've heard many ideas of what students think would be better than increasing the student services fee. Students want more transparency on what is being funded, why it is being funded, and the availability of these programs. They don't know what the fee is going towards, so they can't justify increasing it unless they know what is being offered to them. Increasing these things will give students the opportunity to consider what they want and need. For example, one of the girls I talked to literally thought that Wildcat Watch was a program where you go and look for Willie. While that may be a fun game, that's not what it actually is. It has also been addressed that CAPS was the first program to go into the red. There's actually another resource called MySSP that offers free opportunities for students to get support through articles, health assessments, virtual fitness classes, and to be able to talk with therapists for free. There have also been many other ideas, such as students paying for what they actually use, such as getting passes to go to the rec center. Students that I have talked to say that they would be willing to pay be willing to pay a little extra for things that they use rather than having to pay the full fee for that funds things that they don't use. Since most people don't use a lot of these services, many students believe that reallocating these funds is the best option as of now because it doesn't increase the fee and allows the student services fee to fund what is actually being used. Promoting what this fee funds and allowing students to use what they want and need can provide the Student Services Fee Committee and SGA as a whole of where the money needs to go and what needs to be done in the future. Students are having to pay a lot of money to come to school here, especially with the cost of living increasing. So let's put some of the power back in the students' hands this year. Let's promote these programs better so students know about them and then address the use of the programs next year whenever we have a better understanding of what the students use. Let's change the system and listen to the voices of students. Vote no.
I would like to thank the speaker for that speech. Seeing as that was debate in the negative, is there any further debate in the positive? Senator Glasscock.
Hello, I'm Chase Glasscock, and apologies if this speech is not exactly rehearsed. The student services fee and what we do here is intrinsically about trying to make up for failures of K-State. It's about trying to see what students are lacking and giving them the opportunities to thrive and to succeed at this school. For $500 every semester, we are giving students access to mental health resources, access to health resources, access to physical care, and access to be able to achieve the things that they want to at this school. We give students the ability to travel out of state, to live their dreams of academic and of collegiate competition, and give them the experiences that when they come out of college, they're saying, this is what I came to college for. This is the reason I came to college. This is the reason that I stayed here. And it's because of $500 that students are willing to give. If we take that away, if we throw away because of an $80 increase, then we are removing the ability of students to be able to have access to mental health care. Everyone that I know, all of my friends, need these resources. And taking them away is making sure that their lives are insufferable at this college. Just because people don't know about these resources doesn't mean that they aren't necessary for this college. I hope that you vote yes for this resolution.
I would like to thank the speaker for that speech. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there Senator Pondello?
Is this a speech negative?
All right, hello. I just want to thank everyone for their speeches in the positive and negative. I think it's great to hear both sides to the story, as there's always both sides. I just want to start off with a little bit of concerns. Like last year, we had a increase of 3%, and I think that we should really ride that out and see where it goes. There's been challenges in the past, and we have always overcome them. This is never about taking away what's there and no one will have access. It is essentially just limiting that. And I think that if we were to increase it by 2%, that is a stepping stone that will never be undone. And so at what point do we carry on and do another 2%, another 3%? And as previous speakers have said, KBOR may not be in favor of this in the upcoming years. I beg to differ. KBOR looks at each situation, each different college, and they can address it adequately. And so if KBOR sees that K-State needs to have an increase, I think they would be more than willing, they'd be understanding, they understand the circumstances, but right now we cannot have the stepping stone become permanent because I do not believe that in the future that we will end up decreasing the fee at all. Some more concerns, like why should students have to pay more into a fee whenever they are not gaining more? Essentially, we have been cutting for years, insufficient funds, taking reserves. So why would students pay more to get less at the moment? I think it is really critical that we do not take harsh steps to alleviate problems, but we take steps actively and we see how those steps impact us and affect us for the future. Because once again, if we increase this, it will not essentially go back down. We just need to make sure that our names should not be signed to this. We need to make sure that our names are not underneath this. And people can go back and say, these are the list of senators that voted for this. And I don't think that you want your name to be connected to a process in which can't be undone. So I used to be part of the student service fee. I think I have some adequate background and knowledge upon this, and I would really appreciate a vote no, because we can't erase this. This would be really difficult to decrease, and I hope that you see that and understand that, and don't take rapid changes to problems that we see now, but ride them out, understand them thoroughly, understand where we'll go with this previous like 3% increase. So please vote no. I'd appreciate it. Also, your name's connected to it, and I think that you should be adequately able to explain to your constituents on why you decided to increase it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I never bring it up.
I would like to thank the senator for that speech in the negative. I am seeking further speeches in the positive. Senator Porter.
Okie dokie, everybody. I learned a lot about the student services fee last year. I was Speaker of the Student Senate, and you play a big role in helping manage the student services fee and making those decisions. I was part of the group of people that made the decision to bring forward a 3% increase to Student Senate last year and take that argument to KBOR. We had the opportunity to speak to the Board of Regents when they were here on campus in November, and they were really impressed with all the work that we've done with reducing our budget. And they know one of their biggest priorities, one of their 6 pillars, they have these like pillars that are the things that they want to prioritize, is student affordability. So they're not going to let us raise our fees beyond what students can feasibly afford. And they have an appetite for a fee increase this year. A previous speaker said that we don't know what they're going to be doing in the future. They could be really willing to increase the fees in the future. But we just don't know that that's true. We know that this year, right now, they have told us pretty explicitly that they are open to increasing student fees to increase access to things like mental health resources, things like the student union. Some previous speakers mentioned allowing students to like pay per use for things within that we are currently on the student services fee. But imagine if every single road in the entire country was a toll road, if every single fire department charged you for coming to your house to put out a fire, you had to pay a bill every time you called the police department. It's the same exact concept. You pay taxes, they pay for things that every person in the country or your city or your state uses, and then just because you don't use one thing doesn't mean you aren't using another thing. When I drive home, I drive on the same exact roads, but there are roads in Manhattan I've never even driven on. But I don't care that people in Manhattan or the sales taxes I pay go to support that infrastructure because I know someone else is going to derive just as much benefit from that as I do from the things that I do use. So when you're weighing the value of our student services, don't look at it from a lens of, oh, I only use these, so I only need to pay for these things. Think of it as like, you go to the rec every single day, but maybe you've never used student legal services because you have access to an attorney through the student services fee, but just because you've never used the attorney doesn't mean that it's not there for you to use if you need to. I lost my train of thought. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for that speech. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there further debate in the negative? Are there any further speeches in the positive? Chair Long.
This is not going to be a super coherent speech. It's responses to points. I apologize. Everything for anyway. Okay, the enrollment may be increasing. Freshman class, decently possible. Overall university enrollment, no. We in the freshman increase will not make up for what we're about to lose in the larger senior class. It's not happening. Overall enrollment will be lower than it is. The previous speaker brought up that some students had never heard of these services, and I will go ahead and say that a decent part of the reasoning is because we've slashed the marketing budgets of a whole lot of entities for the past 3 years. They've had no ability to actually market their services. That is a problem. We want them to be able to use it, but there's a reason that students haven't heard of it, and part of it's because they don't have the money to advertise themselves. There was some discussion about we haven't seen the impacts yet. Well, we have. We can model. We know we're going to have a deficit if we don't increase this. We're going to not have enough money. And if you want some more physical evidence of how an entity has been impacted, CAPS used to have, I got this is data from Shecky Davis about 3 hours ago. CAPS used to have, at a time, an average of 13 therapists, or counselors, I apologize, I'm not using the right term, available to help students at any point in time. Now it's 8. That is because of our decreases. That is a tangible impact that our lack of ability to fund them has had and decreased the ability of students on campus to seek that mental health and has overall lowered their experience on campus. There was discussion about we can maybe let students, to reallocate the money, let students discuss and decide where they want to put their money more. I'm not opposed to this, but that is something we cannot do right now. We can look at that over the next 3 years and try to rechange those and put it where students want it, but right now we're talking people's jobs. People who work at the rec, people who work at the union, people who work throughout, or students who work at Wildcat Watch, something like that. Right now, if we don't increase it, they may not get paid. I'm all for re-looking at where the student service fee is put, but it's not up to us or it's up to us. It is not in our wisest moves. Sorry, I'm losing eloquence here. It is not a good idea for us to say we are not going to be able to give you money to pay yourselves. There's also discussion about students having to pay more to go to college in general. I don't disagree. I'm going to go back to the argument that we're increasing the average college student's college cost by $78.72. So if we can provide a benefit where $78.73 is the correct option. So some brief research. The rec for a standard adult is $8 a day. Let's say you go to the gym 3 days a week, $24 in 16 weeks. You're now paying $384 a semester to go to the rec. Currently, students are paying about 14% of 480, whoever wants to do that math for me, but way, 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 way less than 384. That's one example. The student service fee gives students access to services they would have to pay dramatically more for if we didn't have it, they didn't pay it. We've got to increase this one, guys. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to thank the speaker for that speech. Seeing as that was debate in the positive, is there any further debate in the negative? Is there any further debate in the positive? Is there any further debate at all? Seeing none, we will go into Senator Kamen.
I'd like to move for a roll call vote.
It has been moved and seconded. Yeah. It has been moved and seconded to do a roll call vote. Typically, it is a hand vote on these types of resolutions. If you are in favor of a roll call vote, please raise your placard now. That's 15. We will do a roll call vote.
Alrighty. Abadir.
Yes.
Atchison. Ayers. Bellamy.
Yes.
Biggs.
No.
Blood.
Yes.
Broughton.
Yes.
Cup.
Yeah.
Bruckner.
Yes.
Koch.
No.
Compton.
Yes.
Cuesta.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Drotz,
Yes.
Dunce, Dunce,
Yes, sorry.
Fogel,
Yes.
Glasscock, Griffith,
Yes.
Hartzell,
Yes.
Heatherman, Hoffmans,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Kamen,
Yes.
Kidd,
Yes.
Kermer,
No.
Nisley,
Yes.
Kinsey,
No.
Long,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Melcher,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
O'Malley, Oury,
No.
Pelton,
Yes.
Peterson,
Yes.
Pondillo,
No.
Porter,
Yes.
Rios,
Yes, by proxy.
Rivard, Rodriguez Melendez.
Yes, by proxy for Rivard.
All right, Rogers,
Yes.
Syed Nick,
Yes.
Syed Carly,
Yes.
Salmon,
Yes.
Spindler,
Yes.
Strunk,
Yes.
Sushanik,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Williams, Wingard,
Yes.
and Wolf.
Yes.
All right. Resolution 232415 will pass on a vote. Okay. It is not giving me the numbers, but I will figure that out and include that in the minutes. But it did pass.
Really, I counted 40.
40. I don't know, my Excel sheet is messing with me, but I'll make sure and include that so you guys can read that in the minutes. Sorry about that.
Okay, we have exhausted our final action, and there's nothing in introduction this week. So we will move into second open period. Are there any second open period speakers tonight? Senator Griffith.
Alrighty, guys, this is the final meeting of the semester. Next week's dead week, and then it's finals week, and then we're home. I know pretty much everyone's going to be feeling stressed out going into the last 2 weeks of the semester, and you know what the best way to get rid of stress that I've been saying for the past few weeks?
Now we do.
Board game! Come on down to Board Game Club. Room 206 from 7 to 10 in the Union tomorrow. It's the last chance you'll have until the start of the semester next in August. So please, come on, come down. I'm begging you, please. Any questions? All right, bye.
Senator Porter.
Hello. If you care about the student services fee, the Board of Regents will be voting on our approval request on their meeting in June, the 14th and the 15th of June in Topeka. So if you're in town and you want to go, I'm going. Peyton's going to go with me. It's cool. The Regents really like seeing a lot of students turn out. Yep. Cool. Thank you.
Senator Dennis.
Hello, everyone. This is the last time I'm going to speak about this. My internship show, Barrier Free Theater, Scenes from a High School in Space, is tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday afternoon. So tomorrow evening, Saturday evening, Sunday afternoon. Like I said, it's a show I do with adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And they're just really excited. They love presenting their shows. We've actually shifted our Q&A show from Saturday night to tomorrow night. So if you would like to hear them talk about the process and what they really enjoy about working with us as drama therapists, they would love to have you and love to have your questions. Thank you.
Senator Kermer.
Your Pride of Wildcatland marching band is getting ready to move into the new band hall at Memorial Stadium on May 7th, so be looking out for all that hype.
Are there any further second open period speakers? Seeing none, Speaker Pro Tempore Kappelman will take it away with Senate shoutouts.
All right, the only shout out we have tonight is shout out to Bentley for looking like Sheldon Cooper.
Wait, no, I didn't say that.
Okay, then he will take it away with second roll call.
All right, Abadir, Atchison, Ayers, Bellamy, Biggs,
Yes.
Blood,
Here.
Broughton,
Here.
Bruckner,
Here.
Cup, Koch,
Here.
Compton,
Here.
Cuesta,
Here.
Dennis,
Here.
Drott, Dunce,
Here.
Fogel,
Here.
Glasscock,
Here.
Griffith,
Here.
Hartzell,
Here.
Heatherman, Hoffman,
Here.
Jacobson,
Here.
Kamen,
Here.
Kidd,
Here.
Kermer,
Here.
Knisley,
Yep.
Kinsey,
Here.
Long,
Here.
Lynn,
Here.
Melcher,
Yep.
Moore,
Especially here.
Oury, Pelton,
Here.
Peterson,
Yep.
Pondillo,
Here.
Porter,
Here.
Rodriguez Melendez, Rogers,
Here.
Saya Carly,
Here.
Saya Nick,
Here.
Salmon,
Here.
Spindler,
Here.
Strump,
Here.
Sushanik,
Here.
Williams, West, Winger, and Wolf. All right, thanks everybody.
Is there a motion to adjourn? Senator Porter.
I move to adjourn until Thursday, sometime in the fall, our next scheduled meeting, same time, same place.
Second.
Yeah. Any objections? We are adjourned.
So,